Welcome to the Prophecy Club. I've got what I think is a really important program for you today, and I encourage you to stay to the end because there's a place in the middle where I know you'll think, oh, well, he's kind of made. No, I haven't made my point yet, and you'll be making a mistake if you leave early. So stay with me on this one. Title: King Donald, Israel, and Iran. And the most important part of that is King Donald. And I don't like having to not tell you some things. I don't like that. Leslie says, you're too open. But probably you've thought that before. You're too open. You just tell anybody everything you know. Yes, but there's some things I know that I can't tell you. And I talked to two very important people today. And their world's in the world of finances. And I can tell you that you better be listening up. Well, I wasn't planning on this, but it ties to this. You better be listening up. I'm not trying to scare you. I don't want to see you hurt. And there's about to be a lot of people hurting really bad financially. And I hate to see you lose all of your life's savings because you had an IRA or a 401k that just turned to evaporated, it went away, okay? How that happens, I don't exactly know, but I know this. If you got your life savings, be it in a bank now or in an IRA or 401k or the stock market or something like that, some kind of paper, it may evaporate. It may go away, especially with the things that are about to hit, and I'm being told they are just around the corner. Call 800-200-GOLD. That's my point. 800-200-GOLD. They can show you how you can store it, where you can drive to it and keep it all legal. And you don't want to lose your life savings. You don't want to lose a large amount money you may have in the bank or some kind of paper certificate. 800-200-GOLD. Okay, on to the next thing. You also don't want to be begging. You don't want to be on the street begging. You want to be one of those people on the street that's handing out food because you went to Joseph Kitchen and you got yourself enough food for you and your family. Instead of paying $9,000 or $10,000 a person per year, go there. They can show you how to do it for in the ballpark around $1,000 a person per year. And now I'm going to cover this probably just briefly every day for the next 24 days. As you're watching this, there's 24 days left in the counting the Omer. We're watching to see if the newspaper headline, Omer ushers in Palestinian state, appears in any newspaper. We're especially watching the Jerusalem Post, and it may, I said may, don't know that it will yet, it may look something like that. Also, if I don't put myself a note here, I won't say anything. So we are now, I guess, in the summertime vacation slump. Happens to us every year. About this time of the year, all of a sudden the donations just stop. And I understand that, if you got any extra money, you want to save it for vacation. You don't know what the expense is going to be vacation. Especially these days, vacations cost more. I understand that. But if you're one that God has blessed, and if you can help your Prophecy Club right now, that would be a really, really good time because it's got really dry. We're really dry right now. Did I say really dry? Yeah, we're really dry. If God's blessed you and you can help us now, it'd be a really good time. Thank you. First article, which is, by the way, not the most important part. United States sending armored vehicles into Gaza. It says something very unusual is going on. The new temporary port the U.S. military built at the Gaza Strip has now been getting unloaded with armored U.S. vehicles. Now, that's not the big problem. This is the big problem. First one is a C-RAM. Now, this is the thing that looks kind of like a large hot water heater, except for this blows out, I think it's like 6,000 rounds a minute. Zzz, that's what it sounds like. And that's designed to be put on a ship or something like that, where you got an incoming missile or incoming plane and you don't want it to get you. Second thing is the M-lids. And again, I'm not a military expert. I could be wrong in this, but my understanding is that's something that sends, instead of bullets, it sends out grenades at a really, really high rate. And they're offloading them onto Israel. Okay, now what are they going to do with them? Well, I'd like to think that they're sending them over to our friendly Israeli Jews, the ones that Genesis 12:3 says we should bless. I'll bless them that bless you and curse them that curse you, and to help them in their battle against the evil enemy. I'm afraid it might be used for the wrong purposes since there's evil in our White House. Let's pray it's used on the side of Israel. Next article. Iranian lawmaker claims Tehran is now equipped with nuclear bombs. Okay, that's big. Now, maybe they're not. But I think it's the art of war that says when your enemy says that they can defeat you, or when the enemy says that they have a weapon, it's a good idea to believe them, like we've been talking about with Russia having hypersonic weapons 28 times the speed of sound, and you can't stop it. And then they proved it. They proved that they were telling the truth when they got through the Israeli defense systems. The article goes on to say, Iran possesses nuclear weapons. Well, hold on. You can read the rest of the article if you want to, but that's big. That could kill a lot of people, including Americans. Next article. They're panicking in California because the AG is now preparing an onslaught of lawsuits to stop Trump's second-term agenda. Okay, this is hearsay. I got this from my white hat banker today. He was telling me about this guy that's got this quantum computer that is predicting things, and he says it's scary how accurate it is. And he says that the left, I won't say any names, is actually only about 8%. In other words, I think the left knows the real polls, and they already know they're going to lose. And they're scrambling. They're scared. The article says that they're preparing a litany of lawsuits. In other words, kind of like that, was it C-ramp? Okay, they're playing a lot of lawsuits back to back to back to back to back as soon as DJT gets in. It goes on to say this Democrat who's mulling over a run for governor said he is reviewing the work of his predecessor, which filed 100 lawsuits against Trump, and that's exactly what they're trying to do now. In other words, as soon as Trump puts his hand on the Bible, lawsuits will start getting filed to stop everything he's trying to do. Now, that makes sense. So they've looked at Trump's agenda, and this is some of the things they claim that Trump is planning to do. Now, I have not heard him say all of this, but this is what was in the article. Trump outlined his planned agenda, which includes a mass deportation campaign, I have heard him say that, of illegals, remove more than 11 million people from the country, I haven't heard a number, to build migrant detention camps, haven't heard that either, deploy U.S. military at the border and inland, I think we've heard that, red states monitor women's pregnancies to see that they're not doing abortions, have not heard that, the U.S. attorney doesn't carry out his order, prosecute someone will be removed. That sounds like Trump. Got the U.S. Civil Service, in other words, start cleaning out the swamp, draining the swamp. That sounds right. Deploy the National Guard to American cities he sees fit. In other words, remember some of the people who start fighting against the government? What do you think that is? That's the left. And that's also the new left that has come over our border. Also, close the White House Pandemic Preparedness Office. So he's going to start trying to drain the swamp. Well, the swamp is not going to go into the night quietly. They're going to fight. Now, I thought about not putting this in here and saving it for tomorrow's program because I've got some startling news for you on the economy. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you this. Again, I just had about a 45-minute conversation with my white hat banker, and he tells me he has never seen it like this. And I can't tell you some things he said. I'd love to, but what I can do is summarize this. If you don't have yourself in a position to where you can make your house payments for at least 2 or 3 months with no income, you're in danger of losing your house. If you do not have money so that you can make your car payments for 2 or 3 months in a time of great financial difficulty, you might lose a car or two. In other words, I've been hollering, get prepared. And from what he's saying, it's that far away. I dream that our U.S. economy collapsed. People were panicking. Okay, this is not the first time we've heard this. Others are committing suicide over financial losses. Leslie had a dream like this too, sewed coverstone. About jumping from buildings, by guns, driving vehicles off cliffs, our nation was in desperation. It stayed this way for some time, and that sounds like what the prophecies say too. The link was days, weeks, and a few months. That sounds right. People were destitute. They were on the streets, no homes, no jobs, because there was nothing to pay anyone with. You remember in yesterday's program, I told you that in Cuba, they've just closed the banks? Even though they go into the bank and they take over the bank and they open the vault, there's no money in the vault. In other words, they've just, unless that's not accurate, and that sounds like is happening here, okay? Just go on. They were on the streets, no homes, no jobs, because there's nothing to pay anyone with. In other words, the currency was gone. Unless you bartered for what you needed, and what's the best thing to barter with other than gold and silver would be, in my opinion, bread. josephskitchen.com. Joseph's, with an S on it, josephskitchen.com. Barter stations set up like a flea market. Those who were prepared could barter and had many items to barter with. Others had nothing. Leslie Johnson, Dana Coverstone, both said the same thing. The foolish who knew to prepare but didn't were in worse dire straits than the ungodly. But they had watched the signs move to action by the servants of God with understanding to prepare, for so little children would be able to barter with someone for their needs. The government was still intact, having hoarded gold and silver, but the presidency had changed hands. And now we were governed by a woman president. I wonder if the initials would be KH, who set about to destroy our nation even further by signing one executive order after another. Okay. She was undoing as much good and creating chaos as bills and laws were changed to where no one clearly understood any of the laws and bills. Based upon what I've heard, I don't think this is talking about 25. I don't think it's talking about 26 or 27. The lawyers that were connected with the government or who had their own ability to stand up and run were furiously trying to determine the rights and laws of the remaining people. Even the law enforcement officers who were left, robbery, murder escalated, rape, and promiscuity increased. America will be a nation in total chaos while disaster and plagues are hitting us and our world. Remember the perfect storm? That's 4 things happening at once. Illnesses, new and old, running rampant. Then everything froze, and I heard a voice say, the dream ends. Let me back up. And I heard a voice say words I cannot say. Then the dream, it begins advancing again in slow motion. I see the White House. I see an exchange of power. The woman, KH, and her aide, her helping hand, ED. I don't know who she is. I haven't looked her up, but I see her name above her head. She is an older white woman with brown hair, and they are being removed from the White House. Our nation is in chaos. The citizens pay very little attention who is in the White House until, okay, what's this talking about? I don't think this is an election. I think this is the internal revolution told Dmitry Duduman August 3rd, 1984 happening. Citizens pay very little attention who is in the White House until an announcement goes over the nationwide that a king has returned with armed forces in tow, and the announcing of all that he is done, and announcing that all he has done is publicized. If it was a president, it would have said president. If it happened before the election, there wouldn't be a woman in to replace the man that left. I can't say everything. Look, I got to be careful what I say. We already been taken off once. I don't want them to take us off again. In my opinion, it sounds to me like this is before the November thing. Okay? Are you catching this? I want to. It's that far away. It's that far. It's no longer over the horizon. It's not at the end of the block. It's probably ringing our doorbell. When the public finally realizes what has happened, happiness is felt for the first time for many who are not saved, and even some who are for the first time since the economy collapsed. Some hailed his king as our savior. Some don't care, while others go deeper into prayer, realizing exactly what this means. It's an internal revolution. A time of war coming to our nation is now upon us. Not an outside war, an inside war. Now, I'm going to do something I've never done before. This is my favorite speaker. 25 years having a speaker every month. Sometimes we had 2 or 3. 160 guest speakers making 330 DVDs, and this is my favorite one. I might also add that's Leslie. He's Leslie's favorite too. While he was with the Prophecy Club, he made 10 DVDs listed below. Each one approximately 2.5 hours each. We used to offer them for a gift at $30. That's $300 in value. However, we made them free from now to the end of June at watchprophecyclub.com. That's right, you can go there right now. Boom, instantly, right now, watch all 10 of them. And they're up through the end of June. Here's what you do. You go to watchprophecyclub.com, and then you don't have to click on anything. If you want to hear what I'm about to talk about, this was his first one. Okay? I'm about to talk about this. You just click on that, and boom, you can go to watching it right now. This one was made in 1994. It's called Antichrist, Mark, Name, and Number. Here's the name. Here's what it looks like there. Okay? Go there, watch it. Now, this was made, it wasn't very fancy. It just, Prophecy Club just started. This was, I think, our first DVD we made in 1994. And it was just a VCR tape stuck up under his nose while he's talking. But what he says is very powerful. He gets a map. Here's Dimitri Dudin. He gets a map, systematically walks over cities the Lord's directed him to pray over. Now some 500 cities. Pulling down strongholds, loosing the angels to do warfare. While praying, the Lord gave him a vision. He was shown many things of the future. He was sent to Russia. He was always a Russian army, slim, trim, and ready to fight. He says Henry and 3 other prayer warriors were led to go to Europe, and I'll let you read the rest of it. I'm running out of time. These are a list of 4 of his 10 DVDs. 47 years walking with the Lord, how to commune with God. I saw Subsidy Tax America. We've talked about that sometimes. However, we have not talked about what he saw. He was dead for 27 minutes from a car accident, and he was taken to heaven for 6 hours and shown. It's amazing. So if you want to be encouraged, if you have loved ones, or if you're just going through some tough times, that would be a very good one. Anyway, you can watch any one of these 10 DVDs for free through the end of June. Now, let me go to the point that I'm trying to get to today. Now I'm behind. I got to really move fast. So on 1/20 of 2021, this is what the program looked like that day. And in those days, this is back before they cut us off, turned us off, this one had 16,000 views. Today, it would probably have 400,000 views. We'd be up in that number if they hadn't cut our throat. Here's another one. This is a little bit later, and this one had 14,000 views. Today, we're doing good to get a couple of thousand views because they put the thumb on us, okay? And those are the only words I know to use so that they don't find me and cut my throat again. Okay, so here's what I wanted to get to, one of the main things. 2016, a vision given to Henry Gruber. If there's anybody I know hears from God, it's Henry Gruber. I opened the door to see DJT and his wife dressed like a king. His wife is carrying his shawl on her left arm made of gold tweed with big royal jewels in it. Mr. DJT, to what do I owe the honor of your visit? He said, Oh, no, Henry. Never mind. We're family. This is just a family visit. I just came to see you. He sits, and his wife puts his shawl over his shoulders. Now, I want you to notice he's a king, not a president. Presidents don't have crowns. They don't have gold tweed. He has a crown. He drapes it down in front of him and stands beside him. It is beautiful, made for royalty. The whole visit was strictly family. He was asking about our different children, how they were doing, and we were visiting. Finally, he stands up and says, Well, I've got a lot to do. And he says, Now, listen to this. I'll be back. I'll be back. What did the prophecy just say? He's coming back, but he's not coming back as president, okay? After the limo drives off, I wave my arms trying to tell he left his shawl. I hear this voice speak from behind me saying, he'll be back. I say, wow, okay. The vision ends. Now let me jump to another one. The scene changes. This is only part of it. I'm in my bed. I see the screen lights on my cell phone. I hear the voice of DJT announcing inbound nuclear weapons have been confirmed. He named the targeted states. What is that saying? It's telling us who is the king, if you're getting this. I ran on my laptop, blah, blah, blah. The electricity goes up, blah, blah, blah. Let me get to the next point. I saw in the governmental area, this is Terry Bennett, we'll go through a dramatic change in our government, and there will be a time of anarchy and chaos. For a while, we'll have a fractional government, which means basically our government come down to the state level. Why? Because there's states seceding from the Union, just like was told Chris Reed. The military is stepping in and having to seize control of your federal government. What do you call that? That is an internal revolution, as spoken of Dmitry Dudman. It'll be to help our nation. That's why the military will step in. So what we're looking at is something happens to the big guy, and then the big woman steps in, and then the king steps in. That's what the picture is. Let's go on. Barry Munch. I woke up at 1:30. I saw the front cover of the newspaper. It said, "Victory, dun, 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 sweeps the nation." I can't say those words. It was time for the nation to celebrate like a time of war. The celebration comes after a time of war. I saw masses of people coming out on the streets with American flags celebrating. Jason Meeks saw the same thing. There was still some work to be done. There was still high tension in the air, and I was taken to a fence line outside the White House and saw a huge crowd gathering. The American people came out onto the streets to see what was going on, and I saw people who had conspired and engineered evil surrounded inside the White House with nowhere to run, nowhere to escape. It was the end for them. I saw military troops supporting for safety entering the White House and the other buildings and escort out the evil ones like prisoners of war, brought out onto the front lawn of the White House, lined up row upon row in handcuffs and shackles. Their day was over. The crowd cheered in the great outburst as each group was brought out and put on display. The people in the streets cheered as evil was being dealt with. The patriots were singing anthems and songs of victory in the streets, giving thanks unto God. All the corrupted ones were extracted and marched onto the streets, surrounded by army, marching them through the streets in humiliation. They were about to face the consequences of all their evil and corruption. They were brought under the portal holding area like a mobile army base unit for processing to face righteous judges. They were going on trial, facing justice for the highest of consequences, and would get all they had coming to them for the crimes against humanity. Then I'm taken into the inauguration ceremony for dun dun dun, surrounded by military. Dun 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 is inaugurated. Dun dun dun. There was no showboating. It was serious business. The job was finished and time to heal and rebuild. I saw the public opposed instantly see truth they could no longer deny. In other words, the truth came out. They could now see the evil that had been done by these corrupt ones, and the spirit of anarchy in them had been broken. I saw big military cargo planes, open ramps, and special teams from the U.S., loaded pallets of legal documents departing to other nations to go and do likewise to other foreign dignitaries awaiting their arrival in the nations. Plans were strategically set in place to arrest and bring foreign corrupt leaders to justice. The world will never be the same. I watched them deploy into nation after nation, and they rejoiced in the streets as justice was served, and freedom, truth, and righteousness flowed like waters. Those who were left standing had a great reward. It was revival time, a time to heal, so great things are coming. Now, I know you want to say, oh, well, hey, that's great. That means everything's fixed. No, it's fixed briefly. Let me show you. Dmitry was told the fall of America would start with an internal revolution, just as I explained, started by the communists, but not everybody cooperates. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. Who's that? Well, that's the left. That's the deep state. Those are those 6 million people that have come across our border, broken our laws illegally. The government's going to be busy with internal problems. Then, just like the angel said, from the oceans, Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, 2 of the countries attack and defeat America in 1 hour. And there's more. Terry Bennett came out and said, as I already read, Military has to step in, seize control over government. Then you jump over to Jack Rigney. I saw an armored battalion of tanks, Humvees with roof-mounted machine guns, armored personnel carriers with cannons going to the Capitol, the Supreme Court, and the White House. Army personnel disarmed all Secret Servicemen, guards, and police guarding those buildings. Then the Army personnel went back in all 3 different buildings and took whatever they wanted. In other words, evidence to prove that they were dirty. He saw the military take temporary control of the nation to arrest the evildoers and the wrongdoers. And that's the way the Constitution would have it. What's he talking about? Same thing, internal revolution. But some of the people don't like that. They start fighting against the government. Now, let me conclude with this. Ask Jesus to forgive your sins. 4 words. Jesus, forgive my sins. Now, let me add a little bit more to it. Jesus, be my God. Those 8 words can pull you out of the fire and put you into eternity. There's more to it. I'd recommend you get yourself a King James Bible, start reading it like your eternal soul depends on it, because it does. I recommend you get yourself into a good King James Bible-based church. And I'd also recommend you start getting prepared. And, as I mentioned, Prophecy Club's in a bit of a financial hole coming into the summer. If you can help us, God has blessed you. Now it'll be a really good time. We would really appreciate it. Let me talk about our 3 sponsors briefly. First, if you want to get gold or silver, we're going to send you to 800-200-GOLD or prophecyclubgold.com. prophecyclubgold.com. Second, if you want to get long-term emergency food, the only place I would send you to is josephskitchen.com. It is what I believe is God's long-term storage food. As you recall, Pharaoh and Joseph, what fed the world for 7 years was wheat. Most of your long-term storage places, $9,000 to $10,000 to feed one person for 1 year. Joseph's Kitchen can show you how to do it for about $1,000, one person, 1 year. And EMP Shield. If you want your car to start, if you want your computers to start after some kind of nuclear event, that's the device to get. And if you go to empshield.com and use the promo code PROPHECY, get your $50 discount and helps your Prophecy Club. I've not talked about our books for a long time, so I'm going to take a minute and explain them. First of all, I think this is the very best book that I've ever written. And it's called The Secret Door to Understand Bible Prophecy, but it does not have the word rapture in it, does not discuss it. This is only talking about Bible prophecy. So the story is in 2017, I memorized the book of Revelation. I got 30 revelations, 2 visions, and an audible voice. God showed me the word first fruits is a secret door that links Revelation and the feasts, showing the correct chronological order of Revelation. One prophetic word says there is a lock that I put over a word in the book of Revelation. I'm going to open it to you, and it will turn many books written on the end-time message into obsolete books. That's this book. Then I next wrote Miss the Mark. And it's for anyone. It's simple. It's if they read 3 pages, they'll read the whole book. They read the whole book, they will never take the mark of the beast. Also, this Tribulation Secrets in Daniel is just the most important parts of Daniel that someone living in a tribulation needs to know. These are the best prophecies from the last 32 years of studying and teaching Bible prophecy from Dimitri Duduman, Michael Boldea, Leslie Johnson, Henry Groover, Shane Warren, Terry Bennett, Maurice Sklar, Augusto Perez, Doug Metzger, Bree Keaton, and more. Each set of these, in other words, this is a set of 10, a set of 10, a set of 5, a set of 10, a set of 5. It's a total of 40 books. You can get one set of each, 40 books, for a gift of $100 at prophecyclub.com. We also put together a Watchman's package, which contains 2 2-foot by 3-foot charts and my handwritten book of Revelation, 5 DVDs on the School of the Watchman, and 5 of the copies of Secret Door to Understand Bible Prophecy, all valued at $355 for a gift of $200. prophecyclub.com.